Two Americans can both earn $100,000 a year. One retires with over $1 million in liquid assets. The other retires completely broke, relying entirely on Social Security to keep the lights on. The difference between these two people is not intelligence. It is not their work ethic. It is not who got the better college degree. The difference is entirely defined by what happens in the first 24 hours after payday. We are sold a polished, highly profitable, and incredibly dangerous lie from the moment we enter the workforce. A paycheck is not wealth. A paycheck is raw material. What you do with it in the first 24 hours decides whether it becomes freedom or disappears into rent, debt, and lifestyle upgrades. If you want to escape the trap of looking rich but living broke, you need to fundamentally rewire how you view your income. We are going to strip away the noise and build your financial foundation on a system that actually works. Before we dive in, this is education, not personal financial advice. Your situation, taxes, and risk tolerance matter. Take these frameworks and apply them to your own life. Here are the 5 core pillars of the 2-4-hour wealth system. Part 1. The 2-4-hour payday rule and the gap. This brings us to the first pillar, the absolute bedrock of the entire money game. You must spend less than you earn to create a gap. Most people operate on a system of hope. They get paid on Friday, they pay their bills, they buy their groceries, they go out for drinks, they buy a few things on Amazon, and they simply hope there is some money left over at the end of the month to save. There's never any money left over. Human nature, combined with modern marketing, guarantees it. Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time allotted for it. In personal finance, Parkinson's law means that your expenses will automatically expand to swallow your entire income. True wealth is not found in luxury cars, designer clothes, or oversized houses in the suburbs. It is found in the quiet, empty space between what you make and what you spend. Your gap is the cold, hard cash that is left after rent, groceries, car payments, student loans, insurance premiums, childcare costs, and every single subscription quietly draining your checking account. The gap is your oxygen. It is your ultimate power. It is the only real leverage you have in this modern world to actually reach into the future and buy back your freedom. If you bring home $8,000 a month and your lifestyle costs you exactly $8,000 a month, you are not a rich person. You are just a highly paid middleman. You are frantically handing money from your boss's pocket straight to your landlord, the grocery store, and the car dealership, keeping none of it for yourself. Pause the video for 10 seconds and answer this honestly. If your paycheck stopped today, how many days would your life stay normal? If that answer makes you uncomfortable, you must carve out your gap. But here is the trap that ruins millions of smart, high-earning professionals. The exact moment your income goes up, your lifestyle automatically expands to consume it. Think about the last time you got a raise, a bonus, or switched to a better-paying job. Where did those extra dollars actually go? You get a promotion, you feel proud, and suddenly your perfectly reliable, paid-off car feels a little too old. So, you finance a shiny new SUV with a $700 monthly payment. You start upgrading your apartment, your vacations, your restaurants, and your wardrobe. Here is the uncomfortable test. If your income doubled but your savings rate stayed the same, you are not building wealth. You are just upgrading the cage. You have to wake up and recognize the game being played against you. You must stop spending on autopilot. If you bring home $8,000 a month, you need the discipline to design a life that only costs $6,000. Protect that $2,000 gap fiercely. That gap is the raw material that will buy your freedom. Part 2. The debt leak. Once you have established your gap, you might be tempted to jump straight into the stock market. You want to see your money grow. But playing offense by investing is completely useless if you have a massive leak in the bottom of your boat. Before you build a towering financial empire, you absolutely must address high-interest consumer debt. Not all debt is pure evil. A sensible, fixed-rate mortgage used to buy a primary residence can be a tool that works for you over time. A reasonable student loan that significantly increased your earning power has a clear return on investment. But consumer debt, credit card debt, that is a different beast entirely. A 20% to 25% credit card APR will kill your financial future faster than the stock market could ever make you rich. It is a mathematical trap, designed by very smart people to keep you sweating on a treadmill forever. Credit card companies do not want you to pay off your balance. They want you to pay the minimum. If you have a $10,000 balance on a credit card charging 24% APR, and you only make the minimum payments, it will take you over a decade to pay it off, and you will pay thousands of dollars in pure interest. You are literally paying the bank for the privilege of spending your own future money. Here is the part most people get completely wrong. They try to invest their way out of debt. They put a few $100 into a brokerage account while carrying a massive credit card balance. Let's look at the cold hard math. If you are investing your gap money hoping to earn a historical average of 8% or 10% in the stock market, while you are simultaneously bleeding 25% to a credit card company, the math simply does not work. You are paddling backward in a rushing river. You are losing 15% of your wealth every single year right out of the gate. Paying off a 25% credit card is mathematically identical to earning a guaranteed 25% return on your money, completely risk-free. No hedge fund manager, no real estate mogul, and no secret trading algorithm can guarantee you a 25% return. You give that exact, incredible gift to yourself by taking a sledgehammer to that credit card balance and destroying it. Wipe out the high-interest debt, clean up your FICO score, stop enriching the credit card companies, and start keeping your own raw material. Part 3. The automatic wealth machine. With the bleeding stopped and your high-interest debt eliminated, it is time to put your gap to work. This is where the 2-4-hour payday rule truly dictates your financial class. Most people let their hard-earned money sit in a checking account, waiting for the perfect time to invest. They wait until they feel they have a real amount of money, like $10,000 or $20,000. Or they watch the news, get spooked by headlines about inflation or geopolitics, and decide to wait for the economy to sound a little less scary. The perfect time does not exist. The stars will never perfectly align for you to start building wealth. Start right now, today, with whatever you have. While you are sitting on the sidelines, holding cash, you are wasting the single most powerful weapon in the history of wealth creation, time. Let me show you exactly how this works with hard numbers. Let's look at two people, Emily and Jason. Emily is 25 years old. She doesn't have a massive corporate salary, but she strictly enforces her gap. She scrapes together just $200 a month and starts investing it. Jason, on the other hand, laughs at $200. He thinks it is too small to make a difference. He wants to wait until he is a serious investor. He waits until he is 35, finally gets a big middle management promotion, and starts investing $400 a month, exactly double what Emily puts in. Assuming an 8% annual return, by age 65, Emily ends with about $700,000, while Jason ends with about $600,000. Even though Jason contributed way more money out of his own pocket over his lifetime. Why? Because Emily's money had 10 extra years to compound. She didn't need to pick a lucky stock. She didn't need inside information. She just respected the clock. The math does the heavy lifting, but only if you give it the runway it demands. However, knowing the math is not enough. To guarantee you actually execute this strategy for decades, you must build an automatic wealth machine. Do not rely on your own discipline. Willpower is finite. Eventually, you will have a bad day at work. You will feel stressed, and you will spend the money instead of investing it. You must set up your system so your investing happens automatically within the first 24 hours of getting paid. Your raw material must be deployed before you even have the chance to see it. If your employer offers a 401k match, take it immediately. That is 100% free money and part of your total compensation. Set up automatic transfers to a Roth IRA or an HSA if you are eligible. Move your money into your investment accounts the exact day your paycheck clears. What is left in your checking account after those 24 hours is your operating budget. Everything else is already out there in the world, working to buy your freedom. Part 4. The haystack strategy. When people finally get their money into a brokerage account, they often stumble into a massive wealth-destroying trap. They overcomplicate it. We have been conditioned by financial media, movies, and social media to believe that making money requires extreme complexity. We think it requires 6 computer screens flashing red and green, constantly tracking quarterly earnings reports, reading candlestick charts, and trying to predict what the Federal Reserve will do next week. The massive financial industry thrives on this complexity. They desperately want you to think investing is incredibly difficult, dangerous, and time-consuming. Why? So that you will hand over your money and pay them fat 1% or 2% management fees to do it for you. Or so you will trade constantly and rack up transaction fees and short-term capital gains taxes. The more you touch your investments, the more you try to jump in and out of hot tech stocks or the latest trend, the more money you lose to trading costs, taxes, and your own emotional human error. You do not need to find the needle in the haystack. You just need to buy the whole haystack. This is where a broad market index fund comes in. Depending on the fund, it can hold hundreds or even thousands of companies, spreading your risk across the market instead of betting your future on one stock. An index fund is still exposed to market risk, but it completely removes the single stock guessing game. It is a highly efficient, incredibly low-cost basket that holds tiny pieces of the biggest, most profitable companies in America. Instead of trying to guess whether one specific tech company will beat earnings next quarter or whether one specific retail chain will survive, you are simply placing a long-term bet that the overall U.S. economy and human innovation will keep growing. The ultimate, battle-tested wealth-building strategy is almost embarrassingly boring. Open a brokerage account, buy a broad, low-cost index fund like an S&P 500 or total stock market fund, feed your money into it automatically every single month, and then walk away. Go play with your kids. Focus on your career. Go live your life. You do not need to outsmart the market. You just need the humility to keep it perfectly simple. Part 5. The cash moat and the long game. You have your gap. You killed your toxic debt. Your automated haystack strategy is running smoothly in the background. You are doing everything right, and you might start to feel invincible. But life is entirely unpredictable, and it does not care about your perfectly crafted financial plans. What happens when your landlord hits you with a massive $400 a month rent increase? What if you have a sudden medical emergency and have to cover a brutal $5,000 health insurance deductible out of pocket? What if your car transmission blows up on the way to work, or your company undergoes a massive restructuring and you are suddenly out of a job? If disaster strikes and you do not have a boring, unsexy pile of cash sitting securely in a high-yield savings account, you become what Wall Street calls a forced seller. You will be forced to pull your money out of your investments just to survive. And because personal emergencies often happen during broad economic recessions, when layoffs are high and the market is bleeding, you will likely be forced to sell your investments at the exact worst possible time, right when the market is down. You must build a 3 to 6 month cash moat. An emergency fund is not really about the emergency itself. It is an insurance policy to protect your investments. Cash in the bank is your emotional insulation. It gives you the power to say no to a bad boss. It keeps you from making desperate, ruinous financial decisions under intense pressure. Once your cash moat is built and your investments are protected, you must commit to thinking in decades, not days. We live in a culture utterly obsessed with speed. We open our phones and see 22-year-olds claiming they made millions overnight. It completely destroys our ability to practice delayed gratification. Real, unbreakable, generational wealth is rarely built in a weekend. It is built over decades of quiet discipline. When you invest, you must accept that the market will inevitably drop at some point. The news anchors will scream that the economy is collapsing. The headlines will be terrifying. Your account value will shrink by 20%, 30%, or maybe more. When that happens, your natural biological instinct will be to sell everything, run for the hills, and hold cash. Do not panic sell. The broad U.S. stock market has historically recovered over long periods, but there are no guarantees. The moment you hit sell in a blind panic, you take a temporary, on-paper dip and you turn it into a permanent financial disaster. If you are watching this and feeling like you are too old, understand this. Being behind does not mean the game is over. The core mechanics of building wealth, spending less than you earn, eliminating toxic debt, automating your investments, and buying the simple haystack do not have an expiration date. They work at 30, they work at 40, and they work at 50. Do not let the fact that you haven't been perfect become your excuse to do nothing. Wealth is a direction. It is a path you choose quietly, every single morning. It is driving that reliable car for another 5 years, instead of financing a new one. It is automatically routing money into your 401k or Roth IRA within the first 24 hours of getting paid. It is paying off the credit card instead of upgrading your phone. Stack those tiny, boring decisions over a decade, and they are the exact difference between a life of quiet desperation and a life of absolute, undeniable freedom. If this helped you make sense of your money, subscribe. No hype, no stock tips, just simple systems that actually work. Part 6. The 7-day action plan. You understand the playbook now. You know exactly what the 2-4-hour payday rule is. But feeling inspired while watching a video pays 0 dividends. Execution is the only thing that actually moves the needle. When you look at a massive, lifelong goal like building wealth, it is easy to get completely overwhelmed by the sheer size of the task and procrastinate. The psychological trick is to break it down into small, actionable steps and design your environment so doing the right thing becomes entirely automatic. Here is your exact, step-by-step, 7-day action plan to get off the sidelines and take control of your raw material. Do not overthink it. Just execute. Day 1. The gap audit. Print out your last month's bank statement, get a pen, and highlight every single piece of mindless spending. Find the fat, cut it out ruthlessly, and calculate exactly how much your gap is in dollars. Day 2. The auto nudge. Log into your online banking or your company's HR portal. Set up an automatic transfer so your gap money moves directly from your checking to your investment or savings account within 24 hours of your paycheck hitting. Remove yourself from the equation. Day 3. The hit list. Write down every single debt you owe. Rank them by interest rate with the highest APR at the very top. That top credit card or personal loan is your first target. Attack it with everything you have. Day 4. The cash mode. Calculate 3 months of bare-bones survival. Cash, rent, groceries, basic utilities, and insurance premiums. Write that specific dollar number on a sticky note and put it on your bathroom mirror so you see your target every single morning. Day 5. The haystack. Open a reputable brokerage account or log into your 401k or Roth IRA options and locate a broad, low-cost index fund, like an S&P 500 or total stock market fund. Set your automated contributions to buy this fund. Day 6. Protect your mind. Unsubscribe from 5 retail store email lists and unfollow 3 social media accounts that make you feel inadequate or trigger you to spend money. Protect your peace, your focus, and your wallet. Day 7. Your anchor. Take a physical piece of paper and write down the real freedom you are fighting for. Not a random dollar amount, but a life goal like walking away from a toxic job, moving to a better neighborhood, or paying for your kids' college without stress. Fold it and put it in your wallet right in front of your credit card. You do not need to be a Wall Street genius to build wealth. You just need to start, you need to automate the process, and you need to stay the course for decades. If this action plan gave you a clear roadmap today, drop a comment below with your day 1 commitment. Put it out there. Make yourself accountable to the world, and let's get to work. I read every single one. See you in the next video.